Afro with Yvette show. And I wanted to start off with what's on all our minds, which is the decision that came out this week that the grand jury would not indict Darren Wilson for the killing of Michael Brown. And, you know, sadly, these are one of the things, Hassan, that when I've been here for Michael Brown, for Jordan Davis, for Trayvon Martin, for Eric Gardner trial, for Katrina. And every so often when these things happen, I'm able to say, you know, this is me living in this country, but then I'm able to see an immigrant mind of being an outsider for someone not born and raised here. And last night was one of those moments, and thinking about Ferguson, I sat down and I watched the James Brown documentary on HBO, Mr. Dynamite, and they showed how involved he was during the 60s, and he did the concert here in Boston on the night that Martin Luther King was assassinated, and it was a great part of that concert that kept the folks a bit calm in Boston. But then to look at the video, the documentary, and talking about the past and now where we're at, about the need to go on the streets, the need to create a bigger shift. And we're in a crisis right here in this country around race and equality and the disparities that exist. And what was painful is that, you know, he wasn't indicted for it. And then it took me a couple of days to finally see his interview. And then to see how he described Michael Brown is almost, there's a piece in CNN, it's almost sadly how black men are being seen and described. Because he was like a demon. And I was like, you know, you don't call a human being a demon. And, you know, yes, he was a big boy, but he was still a human being. He was still a kid. And that he had no remorse for the killing. Because his whole thing was, I did what I was trained to do. So what was sad for me was that I wasn't surprised. Right. And it shouldn't be that. Right. I was not surprised that the decision came down the way it did. Right. And what it immediately did for me was, if it's so blatant, then now I have to worry about you. I have to worry about my brother. I have to worry about my two nephews. I have to worry about every black man I know that's going to be walking in the streets and may be caught in any small or large situation where someone is going to see them as a demon and react. Because right now we were dealing with Michael's, the indictment, and that 12-year-old Tari that was killed, you know, for a play gun. So we're not shooting to hurt, we're shooting to kill, you know. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the whole Ferguson thing?
Well, like you said, I wasn't shocked. I thought that there would be at least an indictment to go trial, because in the country that we're in, that's what we expect. Mm-hmm. Then, you know, I saw the protests, and I saw the being that it's racist, and so I think I made a comment on Facebook, because I sat down and I thought about it, my upbringing, going to Mexico, going to a white school, and seeing, you know, how I was treated there. I was treated well by my Caucasian friends, and then seeing what's happening here, and then I realized it's like the 2 or 3 wars we've had. In the beginning, us as human beings was like, oh wow, there's a war going on. Then we got immune to it. So now we're seeing the killing of black and brown men, and we're getting immune to it. But I think it's going deeper than that. I think, yes, right now is the black race that's being killed, but I think there might be an opportunity you're going to see whites and Asians. I think America is coming to that point, maybe for, I don't know if it's population control or if for something else, world domination. I think it's deeper than that. But right now, in this sudden situation we're in with our brothers and them being killed, it's ridiculous. And like you said, they're not shooting to hurt. They're shooting to kill.
I mean,
just shooting
Darren Wilson killed Michael Brown with 12.
I mean, how tall could he have been, and how much of a threat could he have been? You could just shoot him in his leg or his arm, and then they have all these autopsies showing, 6 bullets. How they say he was 6'5", and the cop was 6 feet. So at one point, was he a threat? He was already down for you to shoot him. So
Yeah.
there's so many things.
Yeah.
But the worst part is he didn't get the opportunity to go trial.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
the American system,
Yeah.
which just
Yeah.
says, you know what?
Another life, your life doesn't matter. And the thing is that, you know, we have that, and then we had Giuliani on Meet the Press last week who kept saying, you people, you people, you people, even though Brother Michael Eric Dyson kept it down. And then today, Charles Ogletree was on Meet the Press. But the stereotyping, the stigmatizing, the lack of acknowledgement that this is existing, you know, is so painful to hear and watch. You know, I felt like I needed to do something, so I did go to the streets. You know, I went to the community meeting here in Boston at the church, and then there was a rally at the park. And then in the midst of the rally, folks were like, why are we standing here? Let's take it to the streets. And we did take it to the streets. And there was a mix, there was a diversity of a lot of people. And folks were really, you know, chanting. There was city officials, government officials marching. And it did get tense when, you know, we got to the highway and there was sort of a push for the highway. But by then, most of the people had backed off. But then there were some younger folks that got arrested. But the striking moments for me was there was a moment in the rally that we sang Redemption Song by Bob Marley. And I was very moved by how that song had this unified voice to it. And then one of the reasons that we did take it to the highway where we did was that the South Bay jail is there. Okay, right. And, you know, we stood there and you saw inmates, because that's where most of the inmates are there for 2 to 5 years. Right. So a lot of the younger folks too. And you saw them come to the window and give their fist and you know, chant. And then there was one, clearly he seemed young, with a sign, and he was like, I am Mike Brown. And that did it for me. I work with young Black and brown boys, and I had to go after this verdict and sit with them and say, you know what, your life still matters. Justice will be served and things will make a shift. But the reason I chose this song, the reason I started the day around pride, is that we need to have our own internal pride to be able to address some of the things that are happening to us. And what this is saying is that we need to organize ourselves, and we cannot depend on the system to do it for us.
And one thing I want to add before we continue on, Yvette, is that with your show and with this station, how soulful we are in regards to, yes, what's happening, but also the honesty as well. Yes. Because if we don't care about our lives, why do we expect them to? So I know you're going to touch on that at some point, but we need to let our listeners and our viewers understand, yes, we need to stand for what they're doing to us, but let's also look at what we're doing to each other and see how we can solve, because that's a major problem.
That's our problem. And the thing is that I'm not excusing, there's no excuse for the looting. Right. But you have to understand the rage.
No, I know the rage.
And you have to understand the pain.
Yes, yes.
So then there's that. But then there's us also leaving it up. You know, one of the things is I advocated very much so about the blackout and not shop on Black Friday.
Right, yeah, I saw that.
But yet, we still want to go buy. We still went and stood in line.
And so still fighting each other for TVs.
And I was like, the whole point was to have them feel the economic pain of what is being done. If we don't go and shop and they see and we exactly, then that's our way of saying, you know what, you need to pay attention to it. So we need to be very clear and strategic about what we're doing, what we want, and if we're really out to shift this, because it can't be just today because you're upset because of the verdict, and then tomorrow you're going to go do something that's working against it. It's either you have to be consistent.
Right. And we got to stop killing ourselves also.
You know, our crimes, you know, we need to love ourselves. We need to see ourselves as worthy people of goodness and of good things, because right now the system is telling us otherwise. The system is truly telling us otherwise. So we're going to take our first break and come back. And then my next song actually is also, you know, my whole thing is we need to be more about who we are as a people, the bigger picture of a people, the bigger picture um, of how we move through our everyday lives. But Hassan's gonna take me out to a break. We're gonna get Ajari ready online, and we'll be right back with the next part of the show with Ajari Aguayo calling in from Puerto Rico.
All right, you're listening to Soulful Afro with Miss Yvette right here on African Radio Online. As you're watching us and listening to us, please feel free to call in 857-366-7256. Also, the video and the show will be posted on Facebook and YouTube later on. Please leave a comment. Be right back. Keep it locked.